Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments people have had whilst working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are an actor, a comedian, a casting assistant, a producer, Jess Dogboi Ciabatta Ciano. I also think, did I say your surname incorrectly there as well?
You did.
Ciancio?
It's Ciancio.
Sorry,
Ciancio. But the proper technical Italian name to say that any Italians listening will know this C-I in Italian is pronounced Ci.
Okay.
So it's Ciancio.
Ciancio.
Yeah.
Jess Dogboi Ciabatta Ciancio. Thank you so much for coming on, mate.
No worries. You're so welcome. Thank you for bringing out all of my nicknames as well.
Yeah, so a little
Really
peek behind the curtain for all you beautiful perverts listening. Jess and I are, for better or worse, friends in real life. Although, Jess, you are an incredibly talented performer as well. Which I suppose leads me quite nicely onto what I usually like to do at the start of this podcast now. Jess did tell me before coming on she has not listened to any episodes, so thank you for the support. But I like to start with a compliment to my guests because I bring people on and then kind of just get them to talk about their lowest point in their careers, which I never want anybody listening to think my guests are bad at their job, because they're not. The only reason that anybody comes on or is invited on is because I fucking love their work and I genuinely admire their stuff. So I usually like to start now with a compliment. The only problem is I have nothing to compliment you with.
Oh, that is.
I'm sorry.
That is brutal. You're
little
about
joke.
Low points.
Little joke.
This moment right now.
I'm sorry. We'll stop being mean to Jess as well. Now, it's just some playful ribbing. All right, guys. Just some playful ribbing. So I was actually going to... So you're an incredibly talented actor in your own right, but I wanted to compliment you a little bit on your stunt work. So, Jess, you're a stunt trainee. Just now is what we call it in, Australia, I suppose. How long have you been training for now?
So I started training towards the end of last year.
Yeah,
so I think
fuck
in
yeah.
December.
Oh, bro, so
December.
6 months now,
Yeah. So I'm 6 months into the journey. It's been fun. It's been terrifying. It's been
mostly terrifying.
One of the most difficult things I've ever. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the first 3 months. It was like after every training session, I'd be like, "Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Everything is terrifying. I can never do this. These people are not humans." I
feel like that still, and I've been in it for a few years now, I'll be honest with you. But seeing your starting point and the progression to where you are now, genuinely fucking blown away. You did one of the fucking most insane high falls I've seen a trainee or somebody starting out do at time of recording, like maybe 2 weeks ago. For anyone that's not in the stunt world, there's a sort of list of different things you can do from a high fall, and generally a high fall is anything 5 meters or above. In this case, I think it was 6.1 meters, which on paper doesn't sound that high, right? But fucking go and stand up 6.1 meters and then be like, cool, I need to fall off, not die, firstly, not die, and then hit this tiny little mat, which isn't tiny on the ground, but when you're up that high, it's tiny. Jess did what we call like a step back or a fall back, where you're falling backwards off it. Just fucking nailed it first try. Everybody was blown away. I was heart in my throat when you were doing it. I was like, motherfucker, just went up there and pulled that out perfectly. So congrats, like genuinely. Oh. I can see how uncomfortable you are with all these compliments as well. So I'm loving this too.
Oh God, yeah, I'm nearly as bad as you, I think, with the compliments. No, thank you. That was, I don't know. I feel bad taking the compliment because it is. The step back is one of the harder falls. Yeah. However, I found it so much easier than the fall that everybody finds easiest, which is the step out when you kind of go forwards.
Which is hilarious because that's the easiest one to do.
It was terrifying.
And that's
I still
not
can't do it.
person to person. That's across the board. Everybody finds that the easiest. That's the only one people do. So to do one of the ones, which I think it was maybe just you, myself, and a couple of the other guys that day that did it out of maybe a group of 15 people. Very impressive.
Thank you.
So go to Jess Ciancio's. I'm still not going to say this. Yeah, thank you. She gave me the thumbs up there, which is great on an audio medium. But yeah, go and, is it on your Instagram just now?
The high falls, yes, it is. Yeah. It is.
Go and check it out. Yeah.
I think it's on my TikTok as well.
Don't check that out. Any of you weirdos on TikTok, how dare you?
Youths.
Look, I was on it for a little while. and I felt weird. I'll be honest with you.
I chronically neglect it, but it's something that I'm like, okay, should start using.
Well, especially if you've got a high fall like that. I'm just surprised they didn't flag it for inappropriate content.
Well, that's the thing. I've added like a little, I think I did, or at least I thought about doing it and then didn't do it, adding a little disclaimer at the end being like, this is performed by trained professionals.
I used to put that all the time, but then I consistently say my stuff's been flagged, which, like, in all fairness...
With the tag, like with saying...
What my stuff was fight scenes, which is a compliment, TikTok. Thank you. You thought it was real, but it was violence against like another person, and it was constantly just me fighting other people. And I was like, I'm not fucking playing this game, TikTok.
To be fair, I think TikTok's just hectic. Like I had a reel that I made ages ago, and it was literally me in my previous job. I used to live like really far out east near the 1,000 Steps. People from Victoria should know where that is. And I used
not
to do
1,000 steps as well.
It's not 1,000. Nope. It's like 600. I used to do it in my lunch break at work, and I was like filming myself, like being like, hell yeah, like love working from home, like peace sign, like, you know, walking down. And I put that on TikTok, and it got, somebody reported it for violating some sort of rules. I don't know what rules it was to this day, because I was literally being like, I love working from home, peace sign, me walking down some stone steps. So I think it's just...
Was that because you were like a healthy, mentally adjusted person on TikTok? So they're like, nah, none of that on here, thank you.
Look, I wouldn't describe myself as healthy or mentally adjusted.
Yeah, me neither, honestly.
At that period of my life, but I don't know. I don't have an answer, and I want to know.
Yeah. So TikTok, if you are listening, call in. We will be accepting calls for about the next hour just now. If you can just let us know what's going on in general, that'd be lovely. Yeah. But I suppose we should somewhat segue into the actual podcast itself. Now, I have my go-to questions for guests here, but I actually have a very specific question for you to start off with.
Oh, God.
Do you remember the first time we met?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So we both met at friend of the show's and mutual friend of ours as well, Max Price, his house, for a shoot together. Where I turned up, I didn't know what the shoot was. I'm going to be honest. I turned up because my fake wife for that day asked if I wanted to do it with her, and I'd met her once before in another job, and I was like, yeah, look, I'll take a little bit of paid work. It sounds fine. Got up to this actually, admittedly beautiful apartment.
Oh, very nice apartment. Like, great location.
But I didn't know what I was doing. Didn't get a script or anything like that. Got up, and they're like, oh, we were just filming in the bedroom. Come into the bedroom. You might have been in bed when I got there.
I wasn't acting on that one. I was producing that, I'm pretty sure. But I can't remember if you were there for it, but we were setting up a scene that day that was a little bit more risque, involving another mutual friend of ours, quite a good friend of mine, Mitchell Holland.
Oh,
and
no, I didn't know that.
He was wearing like full bondage gear. And there was a scene between him and Max, which was absolutely hilarious. But it was that. And I think you were the afternoon group. So you guys came in after.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we didn't have any bondage.
You didn't see that?
No.
So you don't know what I'm talking about?
No idea.
Oh my God. Okay, I need to show you it was hilarious.
Okay.
It was... Okay, good. I feel like if you had walked into that or the remnants of that, you probably would have walked straight out. I would have anyway.
Of a bondage scene? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But I got there post-bondage, and...
This was a legitimate production. That's what
I'm going to ask. Because we got there and they're like, just jump into bed, guys. We're just going to film this. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see any of those sketches ever get released. I asked Max about it. He said they just didn't work or whatever. I spent a long time in that bed improving. Didn't see any of it.
What was he filming them for?
That's what I want to know.
Interesting.
You were the producer, so if anything, it all comes back legally on you.
Well, technically, I was the junior producer at the time, and so... Mm-hmm.
So, yes, if this is getting played back in a court of law, firstly, please like and subscribe to the podcast. Secondly, Jess is trying to find a little scapegoat.
Always. Yeah. That's the first thing they teach you when you want to become a producer. It's how to put the blame on someone else.
That's probably too accurate.
I probably shouldn't be recorded saying that.
No, we're keeping that in. Again, because of the court of law that this is getting played back in just now.
Of course, when you use it to blackmail me in the future.
I can't wait.
Yeah, great time.
Yes, yeah, it genuinely is. But yeah, so that was our first meeting, and I don't think I saw you again until... maybe even years later.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when I saw you next. I think
Well, we met each other at a film screening. Film screening.
Yes, we would see each other around.
Yeah.
realm of acting things you see.
And then you were one of those
out.
weirdos that reached out to me asking and be like, hey, bro, I want to be in stunts. Can you tell me how to do stunts?
Oh, I can't believe you spoke to me after that. Now that I've seen the other side of it and the amount of strange inboxes you get from people.
Yeah.
To be fair, legitimate inquiries, absolutely. Always happy to answer them. But even myself as a trainee, I was like, bro, I know nothing. Like, ask someone graded, not me.
No, but so like, if you're wanting to get into stunts, absolutely reach out to Jess as well. We will give her Instagram handle out at the end. So, I mean, honestly, if you have any questions,
absolutely. If anyone wants to ask questions, because it's such a niche field and it's so hard to get in. Like, I remember being a child. Like, I was a gymnast as a child, which is kind of where. Yeah, I do.
I was never a child personally.
And thinking what a cool job stunts would be. You were never a child, Seb.
Thank you for going back to that joke. Moving on from that, legally I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Okay.
But it's one of those. I think
trauma.
I say it's also the genetic experiment. Anyway,
right.
I think it's one of the last cool sounding jobs, right?
Sounding.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? Because a lot of the time, and again, I'm not an experienced person. I've done such little work compared to amazing performers in the field. But like most of the time I'm just getting beaten up by more attractive people than lying in the dirt all day, which is fine. I did that for free before, so I get paid for it now. But
exactly. And you're probably not getting as injured because now you know how to fall and fight, and they're not punching you with full force.
Well, they are actors. I'm an actor. You're an actor. We can talk shit about actors
when you're in the moment. Yeah, you know.
You can punch a stunty.
Absolutely, they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah,
you know
right.
What I mean,
yeah,
that's one thing that's so interesting: the stunt world versus the acting world.
Yeah.
Like, you're so disposable as a stunty. Like, you really, like, you're bottom of the barrel. Whereas when you're an actor, you're treated a lot, depending on
where you are in the call sheet.
Yeah, where you are in the call sheet, you're treated very differently.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised.
It's funny.
Coming into the stunt world that's, you know, people with such experience, with such talent, such skill, who have to constantly, just like actors, be honing their craft and training, are not treated as well, or treated like their skills are not as incredible as they are.
Yeah.
Like,
it's really weird, isn't it? And then
and we don't even have a category for the Oscars. Like, stunts don't have an Oscars category.
I know, take it away from like lighting design or something. Fuck sound design,
right?
honestly. Fuck them.
You're going to get so many DMs from like angry soundies now, or angry.
Oh, they've probably stopped listening after episode 2. They're like, this guy's audio setup's shit.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, I'm sorry, audiophiles. I know that's what you like to be called, you perverts. But yeah, I'm joking. Don't take anything away, just add more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny coming from the stunt aspect as well to being coming from the acting aspect to the stunt aspect. Because I'll be honest, as an actor, you get spoiled quite a lot.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then you're not quite as spoiled as a stunt performer. And I'm like, not that I want to be spoiled, but I think I got used to this.
You want a happy medium, though. Yeah. Sometimes, to be honest, when you're kind of like coddled as an actor sometimes, and you're over spoiled. Like, oh, can I get you this? Can I get you? Like, sometimes it's like, can you just like, I know you're trying to be nice, but like, you don't need to treat me like I'm fragile and glass. Whereas as a stunty, you're treated as the opposite.
The opposite.
So I'm like, in a happy medium, just treat like a person would be nice.
Well, that would be lovely. Yeah. And again, I think we're probably going to get a category in the Oscars for stunts before anybody in the entertainment industry is treated like a human being.
You know what? You're not wrong on that.
Yeah. So on that really depressing note, let's get into this podcast.
Yeah, let's go.
So my go-to questions for actors, always the auditions, especially TV commercial auditions. But you got a little bit of a different side with that as well, because you worked as a casting assistant as well. So you were the person receiving all of these fucking horrible auditions. Do you find that after, because you're no longer working as a casting assistant just now, do you find after working as a casting assistant that you're like, you know exactly what they want to see each time? Or are you just so much more self-conscious of being like, somebody has to watch this fucking dog shit tape I'm about to send them?
Yes and no. I always knew that people had to watch it.
Yep.
But now I think honestly working as a casting assistant and seeing so many self-tapes made me realize that I was putting in way too much effort.
Yeah.
Like, some of the quality and some of the absolute nonsense that people send in. You're like, have you not watched this back? Do you not realize what you look like? Or like, can you not film this in vertical mode when it's windy outside in the rain, when there's like trucks going past? Like, it really baffled me. I was like, oh my God, like I put way too much effort into my self-tapes.
I love that. I mean, it's awful. Sorry, it's awful, but fuck, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's honestly, it just it really opened my eyes.
Can you share? And you don't have to. I always say this as well. I always say it before the podcast records, but I don't want people to share things they're uncomfortable with sharing. But can you share any possible examples of tapes that really stuck out to you that you got in? Or we could just skate past it and you can tell me when the podcast ends.
Oh man, there were a few there were lots of cringe moments. And to be fair, as an actor, particularly for TVC auditions, you do so many cringe things. Like, literally, I had one like a few weeks ago, I had to act with a baby. I don't have a baby. I was using a pot. I was like cuddling a pot plant. It was like, I remember as I was filming it, I was like, the poor casting assistant's going to watch this and be like, what the actual fuck is this woman doing?
I had one recently where they're like, just use a leaf blower or hair dryer on your face to push your hair back. I don't have that much hair and I don't have a leaf blower. So I was just kind of drying my eyes out with a fucking hair dryer off screen. And I'm like, I don't know what you guys want. Like, what am I meant to do here?
Right? Like, some of them are hilarious.
But as a casting assistant, you're not writing the briefs, right? You're not asking people to do
No, we just get all the auditions. We watch them. We do a lot of most of the like callback auditions for TVCs anyway. I worked specifically in TVC casting. They're all done by the casting assistants. And it was actually the callbacks that was some of my favorite moments because they were live.
Yes.
Because you usually dial in. At the time, we were doing everything on Zoom, so it's over Zoom. You occasionally have the director there. Sometimes you don't.
Yep.
It was just cringe. Like they're all coming back now. I'm like, oh my God, which one do I say first? So
you don't have to. This is disclaimer. You don't have to share these. We won't obviously share names or any details unless you want to.
We were casting a TVC that had quite a particular brief.
Yep.
And at the time, I think it's still quite current. There was a trend in casting. They want to cast real people.
Oh my God.
They don't want actors pretending to be someone. They want real people.
Look, I can get that. Like as far as disabilities go, for sure. But I can fucking pretend to be a plumber. Like, it's not hard to... look, I don't fucking out me. Shut up, plumbers. Like, if you're coming for my job.
Oh, so many. I had I remember cold calling working as a casting assistant, doing cold calls is probably the worst thing you'll ever do.
Yeah. Because guess what? As soon as you put a camera on someone, they act like a fucking weirdo.
Exactly. But clients, and a lot of the time in TVCs, the clients are corporates, so they don't...
fucking clients.
Fucking corporates. They don't really know.
Yeah.
They don't know who's being... They just like, we want real people. And it's like maybe they don't think that actors can act like mechanics or, if I hold a wrench and wear clothing, like literally, and most of the time on set, they're not actually doing maintenance on a car if we use the mechanic example. Anyway, we were casting for something and a lot of these people, again, had never auditioned before.
Yep.
They didn't know what a self-tape was. They didn't know what a callback was. They didn't understand like that they're closer to the role. So a lot of the time their setups weren't very good. So I would have people, but even some people who were actors would come in. Like I had some guy, he must have worked in a call center or something. He had the full like stereotypical office cubicle.
Oh my God.
Wearing his company logo, dial in for an audition, being like, all right, I've got like 5 minutes. I was like, this is a callback audition for an ad that pays like, I don't know, 10 grand.
Yeah.
And he like was balancing his phone on his laptop and like there were people walking past in the background.
Yeah.
There was one guy who was outside, like he must have been mowing the lawn or something. He was the one with the vertical phone and the trucks going past in the background.
So that was a real life example.
That was a real life example. It was a callback audition and I was like, dude, your phone's vertical. Yeah. Like you're outside, you're holding your phone.
Yeah.
Like you can't, how are you going to do the action required if you're holding your phone? Like it was just...
Yeah.
And again, I don't blame people because a lot of the time we were casting for real people.
Yep.
So someone would see the casting place I work for on Instagram, see the ad and be like, oh yeah, I want $10,000.
Of course.
We all?
Yeah. How disrespectful to the profession of actors as well, right? You're just like, anyone can do this, it's fine, whatever. And look, anyone can do it to an extent. Like anyone can be a plumber to an extent. But
yeah. Well, you need the qualifications and stuff.
But do you? Like, I could just go and do some plumbing somewhere. It'd be shit. It'd be fucking awful.
I unblocked my own sink, so...
I'm so happy you said sink there, not toilet. And I was like, wow, we're not talking about this on a podcast. Unless any of you weirdos want to hear that. Then reach out to Jess, please.
I have so many toilet stories.
That is so upsetting. Also, you said that in like an ASMR voice as well, and that is... What we in the Scottish language call giving me the book.
Giving me the book.
Book.
What's that mean?
Like almost like, you know, when you're like almost like dry retching. Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
but it's not with beautiful again. That gave me the book. But it's without the action of the dry reaching. Like it's the feeling of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've learned something new today.
There you go. See?
I'm going to use that.
No, don't you dare fucking culturally appropriate me. How dare you?
No, I am going to get cancelled.
Yes, cancel Jess, everyone, please.
Anyway, one of my favorite audition, callback auditions was, it was some guy who dialed back in his bedroom. And he would have, I don't know if it was like, it was a very, very small bedroom. This was an adult male as well. Like,
what are we talking?
Fully grown, maybe mid-20s to early 30s.
Okay.
I'd say mid to late 20s. And he was really nervous. And I think I was like on his webcam as the casting assistant. He's kind of like sitting in his room and I could see his whole bedroom. Like usually I'm sure most people listening to this are in the performing arts, so would be aware, like you kind of want to have a neutral background.
Just a clear background because your eyes drift and you're going to be like, why is there a poster of Sarah Michelle Gellar on his wall?
Yeah, so I could see.
Why has he got those glow in dark stars
bedroom
stuck to his room? Oh, clean up as well.
Very filthy bedroom. He must have had the curtains drawn because it was quite dark. He had like a mirror behind him, like one of those mirrored. He had a mirror behind him, one of those like mirrors on the wardrobe. Like, built
so
in.
You could see yourself in the back of him?
Yeah, kind of. Well, I was like directly in front of him, so thank God I couldn't see myself. And he was talking kind of hushed and like a bit like, I felt a bit like I wasn't meant to be there. Like he felt very physically uncomfortable and he had to do like a dance as well. It was for an ad they wanted people to dance for. And if you've ever done an audition tape where you have to dance, it is the most cringe thing ever.
I've done it twice and I think it's to a detriment to my mental health.
Yeah.
I think I should be paid for having to do that audition full stop.
Right? And so these are people who are not performers who are having to dance.
Oh, so he was a quote-unquote real person?
Yes, he was a real person who had to like dance.
Oh, no.
Honestly, all of the casting for this was so cringe because it was people who aren't performers. Even as a performer, it's kind of cringe.
Yeah.
They got to pick their own song, which was also cringe. And it was Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. And he was like dancing, but you know when you could tell someone's dancing and they're so uncomfortable?
Of course,
It was this, and then the door to his bedroom opened and he just jumped and like slammed it shut as fast as it could.
Oh my God.
The best analogy, and he looked so embarrassed. Like he was like bright red, and it was like the force at which he slammed that door shut was like he was doing something real shameful in his bedroom and like mum was coming in. That was the energy of the
Was
moment.
it his mum?
I think it was his mum.
Oh my God.
The dirty bedroom, the like bedroom size, like someone that age couldn't afford a house that big. But like it was so cringe.
That sucks. Also,
and then we had to continue the audition.
Oh no. Did he get the role?
Absolutely not.
No. In that situation, it's maybe easier to explain masturbating in your own bedroom rather than dancing for a stranger on your webcam, saying that, oh, no, they're going to pay me. Dancing to
maybe, if I've got enough.
Mom, don't come into my room for the next 10 minutes.
Literally. It was honestly, I was so mortified to be witness to that. And the best part about it is the director was also on Zoom, but he was unwell, so he was doing camera off. And at the start of the Zoom, I had said that to this man, who obviously had forgotten because it was just me and him.
Yeah, of course. That's all you can see. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. So that was a highlight. I felt a bit dirty after. I felt like I needed to go have a shower. I'd just been caught doing something really like filthy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of had, and all like every outside context apart from what it actually was, he was just dancing for a young, attractive woman on his webcam. Like that is creepy ass or dirt. Like it's weird. And like everyone do what you want. Like let your freak flags fly. But like being caught by your mom is fucking embarrassing.
Yeah. And how do you explain that?
Yeah. Right. And you're like, no.
I'm dancing for a woman who says she'll give me money.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, no, they're going to cast me in something. You're like, son, you can't be replying to all these Facebook ads. No, come on. No, don't.
Honey,
I don't think that this is real. We're going to have this talk again. Is this just like when you gave that nice lady all those Bitcoins that she kept messaging you? I also feel really bad for this guy as well. Like, genuinely. I know we're kind of poking fun at him, but like, what an awkward situation.
Embarrassing for him, and like, it was just I don't know. It was like,
Yeah.
just, it would have been less embarrassing if he'd embraced it. He'd been like, oh, sorry, we're actually like, I'm doing an interview or an audition.
Why are you
Do
dancing
mind?
for an interview?
Yeah, true. I don't know. I don't know how to make this
No,
situation.
it's weird. But owning the embarrassing situations give you the power in them at least. You're like, this is fucking weird. Sorry, mom. But like making yourself so much more embarrassed, which is again something I've really grown to. I mean, that's the whole thing with this podcast. Like just fucking accepting it makes it better. And you can laugh about it. Or if you can't laugh about it at the time, 10 years later, you're like, I did this, man. It was so embarrassing.
And I think as well, yeah, as performers, you kind of learn that, especially in like the comedy world. Like you make a mistake, you own it. Like, you know, something awkward happens, you own it. And it often makes it more funny and it makes you more relatable. But, you know, I can so identify with that though, because it was like, you know, being that cringe teenager who got caught doing something a bit naughty in the bedroom.
Mid-20s, still living at home.
It gave me man-child energy. Like, it was just the bedroom, but like, you know.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, horrible, and like nothing bad happened. Nothing actually bad happened. It's just the entire situation is so cringeworthy.
Yeah, and getting into casting, I did not think I'd be dealing with stuff like that. Like, I thought it would be a bit more of a professional that's environment. But also, you know, it was like COVID. We could only do Zoom callbacks and stuff like that. But I'd always... Yeah, again, that was not how I personally set up my callback space and don't think I would ever, but...
No, but I mean, you can't. Like, you can't predict what's going to be on the other side of the call when somebody picks up, right? Like, it's bizarre. I want to ask a couple more bits about the casting assistant stuff because, like, kind of within that realm as well, being, like, not really prepared for what people send into you. I've done a few auditions where they're like, can you be topless in it? Can you send in photos of you in your underwear? And I'm like... I just need to triple check every single time. It's like, you definitely want a photo of me in my underwear because I'm not just going to accidentally send a photo of me in my underwear to a casting assistant or casting associate. And then they're like, why have you sent this? Because I thought I maybe read the brief wrong. It's only happened a couple times where I've had to send a photo of myself in my underwear, but it's always been for self-tapes, which like... For whatever reason, whilst you're in the room, so for people that aren't in the industry, like a lot of the time before COVID, you go and audition in a room, but nowadays it's all at home. You do it and you send in your tapes. I feel so unnecessarily dirty sending a photo of myself in my underwear to a casting assistant. And what do you guys do with it after the thing has been cast?
So, for any of the photos that you send in, so again, for people who aren't aware, usually when you do a casting, you fill out what's called a job form and you have to attach a recent photograph of yourself. Those photos for us anyway, we kept them on a database and we would just update them. So every time you would send in a new...
Wait, so my underwear photos are on a database?
Not the underwear photos. No. It is only... No. The underwear photos, I believe, get deleted. I actually don't know. I never cast an underwear type thing.
This is not filling me with confidence.
But they do stay on files on the computers there just in case we need them. I believe maybe they get deleted once the ads have been filmed. I actually don't know.
I hate... I should not... Ignorance was bliss in this response.
Clarity,
Oh, fuck, man. And also, yeah, like, are they... No, I suppose... Are you allowed to ask for people in their underwear? Like, photos of people in their underwear?
I think if it makes sense for the casting.
Okay.
However, as an actor, I've definitely had, like, castings. Like, I actually did an audition the other week and they wanted, like... full body, you know when they want full body shots.
And full body shots, you mean just a head to toe shot?
Yeah,
you're wearing clothes.
Clothed.
Yeah,
but it was also like very unnecessary for what they were casting, and I was like, why do they need to see your full body? And I don't know. Like sometimes it is a little bit body shamey sometimes because it's like, okay, what is it about a particular person's physique? Sometimes it is necessary for whatever it is, but in this particular case, it wasn't really necessary. And I was like, why do you need to see my full body and what like clothing size I am, or why do I need to give you my measurements for this particular brief? Yeah. Some briefs it is necessary.
Yeah, for sure. I get that.
Cast specifics, but I don't know. The answer is I don't know. It's honestly what wants to be seen. And because I came in and I was so junior, like I was like the bottom of the barrel. So I was like,
but then you get to see everything at the ground level.
It's so good though. It's good and it's bad. It's kind of like it really made me relax a lot when it came to doing my own self-tapes. And just, it gave me a really great perspective as an actor.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
And you don't have to answer.
Go.
Did you have a little folder of all the worst auditions? and like the most cringeworthy things, we don't have to answer.
I don't think I'm allowed to answer that question.
Okay, we're swiftly moving on. So, from one side of the camera to the other, now you've auditioned obviously for a shitload of things yourself. Do you have any memorable auditions from being in front of the camera? Oh. And like you were saying, like TV commercial auditions are the bane of every actor's life, but we have to do them to pay our bills, essentially. But they will ask you to do the most embarrassing fucking stuff. I remember once I had to sit on a leather couch, and I was like, this is a little too close to the infamous casting couch. This was with a legit casting house as well. Well, they're no longer around, but they were legit at the time. Mm-hmm. And they were like, yep, can you just pop your top off? And I was like, okay. And they're like, yeah, just pretend to bathe in money. And I was like, none of this feels all right.
Wow.
But do you have anything? I mean, can you actually just make me feel a bit better now, Jess? Do you have anything like that?
I don't have anything anywhere near that brilliant. Fuck. I've had to do it was like a Bonds commercial, so it was like a dancing, not naked, dancing.
Excuse me? No,
dancing
Bonds
in your
made
underwear.
you do what? Sorry, we're just going to go back. Jess, what were you saying? Bonds made you dance naked in your underwear. Clip that news.com.au and reference the podcast.
No, I had to dance in my underwear for one.
Yeah, right.
Often, I'm trying to think. I'm sure.
So you're saying dancing in your underwear is fine? Like for an audition? The underwear part doesn't get
literally dancing in because it made sense for the brief because the actual ad was people dancing in their underwear.
Okay. But I suppose not necessarily the underwear, it's the dancing part that would get me.
There was one, it was for an ad for like an outdoor activewear brand, but they wanted you to skinny dip and be naked.
Okay.
And I was like, and it was so low paying as well for like high usage. And I was like, it's not worth that money for like full, and they wanted full frontal nudity. I just said no to the audition.
They wanted full frontal nudity.
Not for the audition, sorry, but for the actual ad they wanted,
What? How are they going to advertise that?
And it was for an activewear brand as well. It was going to be like a wide, like a really wide shot, and it was just from the back, people kind of like skinny dipping. Oh,
just some cheeks.
Yeah, I think it was just a bit of cheek and stuff, but it was like
that's
weird. A very low paying ad, and it was for activewear, and it was like.
Put activewear on me, please,
not
guys.
Not activewear, sorry, like hiking gear, like like puffer jackets and stuff, and I'm like. I'm not going to say the company's name, but I was like, it was very odd. I was like, it seems a bit counterintuitive.
Kathmandu. Wait, no, I'll keep guessing. Mountain Warehouse. Aldi own brand.
Aldi is the best.
Aldi is the best. Please cast us, Aldi. But that's, I mean, firstly, counterproductive, I think, to selling clothing is having naked people.
Yeah.
But secondly, as well, how do you audition for that?
To be honest, I can't remember because I actually turned the audition down because I was like, look,
I ain't getting these cheeks out for that much.
I ain't getting these cheeks out for like $2,000. It was very low paying and the usage was quite high on it, so it actually wasn't. That was another great thing it actually gave me as an actor, an understanding, or it helped develop my understanding of like the ratio of like payment to usage, because how long they can use your ad for, whether or not it's in perpetuity and stuff like that.
Which you should never sign on for.
Yes, please don't. It's not stuff that really gets taught at acting school.
No, it's not.
And I think like when I graduated from acting school, you kind of just want whatever you can get. You know, you're on Star now, you're trying to learn, and there's a lot of like people who can take advantage of that. So I think it's really important to kind of, that's some of the education. I wish they taught that stuff at acting schools, to be honest.
And I haven't been to acting school in a long time now as well, but I very much feel the same. And I think as an actor, you're always made to feel like any opportunity is like a blessing for you. You're like, you should feel lucky we're asking you to do this. Yeah, which is awful because that's how people get taken advantage of. I did this really, really high usage ad. I'll say what, I won't say the name, but I'll say what it is. For a Scotch whiskey company. Yeah. I got paid $1,000 for a year's usage on it, and it played fucking everywhere, like genuinely everywhere. Like during the tennis all the time. It was on online. It was I think somebody even saw it in China, in a bottle shop playing there, or the airport or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I know, like this sounds like people are like, wow, you got paid $1,000 for a day's work, and I'm like, yeah, but it's also like 5 years where I can't work in any alcohol branding at all. And like my face is everywhere, man. People would recognize me from that fairly consistently, honestly. And it was such little money. Like that should have been like 6 digits.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's, and
Or
it's stuff like
five
that
digits,
that's really
sorry.
like,
But yeah, it's
not
insane.
okay.
No,
Yeah.
it's horrible. And then, like, you're always just, I don't know if you've had the experience of weird people reaching out to you from the blue, being like, hey, I found your profile. Do you want to be in my weird student short film? We're not going to pay you. It's great usage, but you do need full nudity.
Oh my God, I literally, not quite in that order, but and I think it's the thing everyone does. When you graduate from acting school, you want to get as much experience as you can. So you do student films, which are great.
Can be great. Some can be great.
For learning. Like, I think a lot of, for learning what it's like to be on a set before you step on a professional set that can be intimidating.
You get a little bit of usage, a little bit of footage for your show reel as well.
Exactly.
You can meet some people that go on to do excellent things. Jack Brady, a friend of yours as well, was just on last week, and he said exactly the same thing, essentially. Like, it can be great. It can be a fucking nightmare as well, though. It's
so funny. Who Jack, I think, is talking about is him meeting Andy.
Yes.
That's exactly how I met Andy as well.
Oh, no shit.
Deakin University.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the story you're going to tell just now? How awful this is?
It wasn't one of Andy's students.
Okay.
It was a different student in that class. But I used to work. So Deakin Uni would use actors for their workshops for their director students, and they would. You would kind of come in and you would work with the students, and they would learn how to work with actors, and you would kind of teach them, like, this is how to direct an actor, like, don't just be like, be more angry. Like, it was really, really great workshops, and a lot of universities do this now, and I've been lucky enough to do it at Deakin and VCA and a few other places.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times with VCA as well. It's great.
It's great. And then from that, you get cast in student films a lot of the time, and that's what kind of happened to me quite early on as an actor. And I loved it. Like, I just graduated from acting school. I was making all these new friends.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And I met some really great friendships who I have kept to these days. Like, some really awesome people who are doing amazing things in the industry. I am part of a production company.
We should.
Someone from that.
Weird neighbor. We should give that a spruik now. We'll spruik it later as well. But yes, go and follow them on Instagram. See them in St. Kilda Film Festival at time of release. That is tomorrow night and the night after. But yes, enough of that. I want to hear all your horrible stuff.
Yes, okay. So, oh, good God, trauma. So, and this is notorious amongst the graduating Deakin students of that year.
Oh.
This particular short film. So I did a few of them. One of them was like a lot of fun, really messy. I used a squib for the first time.
Oh, wow,
it's not a squib, the blood.
Yeah, so a squib,
track.
for people that don't know as well, is like, if you ever think about somebody getting shot on camera, this usually a little bit more in the olden days as well. Now it's CGI, but like, it's a little pack that just explodes to make it look like a bullet wound or like a gunshot. Yeah.
So I was playing a vampire, which was the coolest role ever. So when I went to bite the neck of the person I was draining from blood, we had the squib set up, and it just sprayed this wall behind us.
That's so fucking
blood.
sick.
It was really cool. However, it was like 3 a.m. at this point, and we couldn't angle it right. So every time I would go to bite the actor on the neck, the squib, instead of shooting with all over the wall, would shoot me in the face.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so I copped a full face full of blood, which obviously went all over my costume.
Oh.
And I'd have to drive it all the way back to unit, get completely changed, have my makeup taken off and redone.
Jesus.
And come back. So that was a lot. That was fun, though.
I mean, that sounds like... not ideal, but like, yeah, I suppose it's part of it, right? Also, every single
This wasn't the bad one, by the way. This wasn't a bad student film. I've just completely segued.
Every student short film is about a vampire or a drug deal as well.
Yeah, or about like mafia or like a lot of like period pieces, actually, which is quite ambitious because
they're a fucking nightmare.
Pricey.
Yeah.
No, so this other student film.
Oh, so we're talking about less fun.
We're talking about the notorious one. So it was a horror.
Of course. Vampire?
No vampire. So the vampire
Supernatural
was a comedy that actually did quite well and went on to win an award. And Xavier Nathan, the writer of that, is actually part of Weird Neighbor now as well.
Oh, I did his graduating short film from Deakin.
Get Out.
Yeah, genuinely.
Wait, which one?
It was called Hitched. It was about two hitchhikers crossing paths, getting up to some mischief.
That is just below.
But shout out to
my
Zave.
mind.
Yeah.
Zave's a legend. Zave is an absolute legend. So no, that film was great, but I did these 2 films back to back.
Right.
So I'd just come off the set of the student short film, being like, I made so many new friends. Like, I had the best time. I was like the lead, and I got to be a vampire, and I had cool like teeth and makeup, and I was like,
yeah.
I'm living out my like Twilight dreams right now.
Of course.
Yeah. And then I go into this other student film. And again, you know, as an actor, as particularly quite a young actor, I wanted to be really nice. I wanted to like absolutely be accommodating to everyone. And they originally wanted to film in this abandoned hospital. Okay. And for some weird reason, they couldn't get council approval to do so.
Is that because it was a derelict hospital?
Yeah. Probably filled with asbestos and stuff like that. And
just not safe.
For some reason. But they didn't tell us that until like very late into production.
Wait, so you were shooting in the hospital?
No, we couldn't. They were like, we can't get in because it was fenced off. So then we had to go back. We had to drive all the way to the director's house that was in Warburton, which was like 2.5 hours from where I lived at the time.
Jeez, no, Warburton is not close for anyone.
No, beautiful. So we filmed out there, and our filming day, we had a few days. We had a few days filming at the university.
Okay.
And then we had a few days filming out in Warburton. And our first day of shooting was at the university. So we kind of rocked up. Call time was 9 a.m.
Yep.
We didn't start shooting until 4 p.m.
Oh my, that's a fucking
It was a
nightmare.
whole day of waiting around, and that just set the tone for this short film.
Yeah.
It was just full of that. People, the DOP and the director didn't get along, and they were fighting, and the director knew what she wanted but didn't communicate what she wanted to the DOP, so the DOP would just do whatever he wanted to do, and then she would get annoyed and bitch to someone and complain to somebody else, but there was no actual communication, and then I got dragged into it, being like,
wonderful.
This person's taking over, and then it just all got a bit much. We went way over shooting schedule, and on one of the days, I think it was like a 4 or 5 day shoot, and obviously I'm not being paid for this.
That's the problem, isn't it? We're doing this fucking stuff for free, man.
Yeah, and fair. Like, I was an inexperienced actor. I was happy to get the experience.
Well, yeah, usually at that point you are, aren't you? Yeah.
But I was also, you know, having to work, of course. And at the time I was working as a barista. And
classic.
I would start work at 6:30 in the morning.
Wait, were you working during this as well?
I was working during this because I needed money. Like, I needed to pay my rent, and I couldn't take a whole week off work. And they'd also very, very kindly move the shooting schedule around this. So, well, somewhat. So basically I got the call sheet, and I was like, okay, cool. We finished filming at 1 a.m.
What?
It was like 9 a.m. till 1 a.m. in Warburton. So I was like, oh, okay, I've got to do that, and then drive home, sleep for a bit, shower, go to work. Because everything was never running to plan, because there was no plan and no one was communicating. We didn't actually finish shooting until 4:30 in the morning.
What the fuck?
And so we'd been filming all night. I was like completely exhausted.
Of course.
And I had to drive home. I was like, cool, I actually don't have time to go home. I'm going to have to drive straight to work, because it was like 2 hours to get home. So 4:30, 5:30, 6:30.
Yeah.
And I nearly fell asleep on the freeway drive. I kid you not. I nearly fell asleep on the freeway. I was like, shit. I had to pull over and sleep in my car for
my God.
I think half an hour, and then wake up and just like drive straight to work and work a full shift.
That is So when did you start filming? Sorry. So you finished at 4:30.
We started filming, I think, at like 10 a.m.
So that's such a long day.
Warburton, yeah. So I would have had to get up probably around 6 as well.
Because you had to drive to fucking... That is, I mean, firstly, illegal. Secondly, it's so fucking rude of those people as well. Just call it.
Yeah. So unprofessional in every way. And I understand it. It is a student film and everybody was learning, but it was such a stark contrast from going on one student film where it was a really good environment. Everyone was supportive and learning, and things took a bit longer, as you would expect. However, they were so respectful of everyone's time. Yeah. We all got fed. We all got everything, to this just chaos of a student film where I ended up like...
Nearly dying?
Nearly kind of dying, having to pull over and sleep for half an hour because I could go to work, and they didn't even cover my parking at the university.
Fuck off.
All of these little things that I'm like, I look back now and laugh, but at the time I was exhausted and like, Again, you learn lessons from everything. Another
Yeah.
thing is the final shot of the film was I have to like scream and they like shut my door because it's like an asylum kind of thing. And I completely lost my voice because the DOP, who was now directing at this point, kept missing focus on not getting things right. So I had to do this blood-curdling scream over and over and over again, which was quite frustrating because I was doing it. He wanted me to do it for rehearsals as well, which is something that usually happens. So it's really funny now working, professionally looking back at this absolute chaos.
It's some of that stuff's like, I genuinely just so... You have hindsight now, which is great for talking about it on a podcast years later, because it's like, it is just funny stories, right? But like during the time, you're like, is this what it's always like? Or is this what everything's going to be like? Maybe that one good short film was my one good working experience.
I was just trying to like please everyone, and I didn't I'd been on maybe one or two professional sets before, but they were TVCs. This was like this was like a narrative piece, so it was very different, and I was like just wanting everyone to like me and like and all of that. And now I think I would obviously do it very differently. Probably not a free student film.
Well, no, obviously, of course. I think, but like having the confidence to stand up for yourself is massive. But it's not really anything, again, you're taught in drama school as well, or acting school.
There's so much you're not taught.
Yeah, it's insane.
School, and then you get out in the real world, or you get on a set and you're like, what is going on? Who are all these people? Like,
man, that's why I did a load of extras work, because I was like, when I went to acting school, it was only ever for stage as well, so theatre.
Right.
So I was like, how the fuck does film work? And then you get into a film set and you're like, who the fuck are all these people? And you're like, I don't even know who to ask. Like, you turn up at unit base in the morning, especially if you're just like a bit part or something. You're like, hi, is there an AD around somewhere? And you're just speaking to like a grip who doesn't fucking care. And he's like, I don't know, over there. You're like, okay, thank you, goodbye.
Literally, it can be quite intimidating.
Yeah, for sure, huh?
Extra work is such a good way to get experience. And I have said this before for people who were like, oh, I kind of want to get into the industry, but I don't know anything about it. Like, extra work pays.
It does. Unlike not a lot.
You get to spend time on a professional set.
You get to spend time with extras, which is, if not enjoyable, entertaining. It's fucking weird but fun. Afterwards, never during the moment, I'll be honest with you. But saying that, that's where I met our mutual friend and who we spoke about earlier, Mitchell Holland, as well. That's how I met him. We were both extras on a season of a TV show I shan't mention, because the main person may be not a good person. We can work out whatever you want from that. But yes, anyway, swiftly moving on. But yeah, like, it's a great way of actually finding out how the fuck anything works on set, because it is a nightmare. And if you're trying to like act whilst all that stuff's going on as well, it can be overwhelming. Especially if you need to do like a full-on scene. Like you were saying, like that blood-curdling scream you had to do. Like if somebody's not hitting their mark as far as focus pulling, you're like, well, I've got like maybe 3 takes of me for this. Like,
right.
maybe.
And that's, I feel like, what I should have come in saying. However, you know, on the flip side, on a professional set, they would obviously know that. They'd have a stand in, they'd get all that stuff sorted first. But, you know.
Yeah, I had another experience as well on a student film set where, again, it was a fucking nightmare. And, like, whatever, it was a student film. But they were paying me, but not the other actor in it. And then they came and discussed my pay with me in front of the other actor, and the other actor's like, are you getting paid for this? And I was like,
that's so uncomfortable.
I tell you what, this is where improv comes in handy, because I was like, oh no, we're just talking about I'm just getting some petrol money. And they're like, oh okay, because I drove that other actor to set as well, and it was a little further out. It wasn't in Metro Melbourne, but they decided to film in one of the people's garages which they'd built the set in, but it was next to a flight school. So there was constantly airplanes going overhead, and then nobody was like, it was, again, a student short film, man. They were trying to write, like, it was about an alcoholic father who had accidentally killed their child when he was driving drunk.
Of course, it was the most serious topics.
And it was 19-year-olds. And I kid you not, in between takes, we're having a dab off, which is who can dab more in like 30 seconds. And by dabbing, I mean like that, I don't know what the fuck it was, like movement. Like you put your head into your elbow and your other arm straight.
Seb just did.
I was trying to do a dab.
Dab I'd ever seen. It was like
my
sheepish.
Dad dab. Yeah, it's like, I'm just scared to do it, even though nobody's in this room with us right now.
Me who's watching you, and yes, I will judge you.
Oh fuck yeah, fuck. Well, we're gonna cancel you anyway, Jess. But then like for in between these scenes, then like, yeah, guys, like you have to cry, and I was like, I don't have to cry. Like if it's in the script, if it's in the moment, I'll cry. But then they fucked up focus pulling so many times that my crying scenes weren't usable. And then I couldn't cry after that because I'd cried myself out, essentially. Yeah. And then like, oh, can you cry on this one? I was like, what do you think I am? Like, I don't just go on and off. Like, it's not a button. It'd be fucking lovely if it was.
And that is another reason.
Yeah.
That is a reason, just circling back, why those like student director actor workshops are so good.
Yeah.
Because you can communicate as an actor. You can be like, hey, we're not robots. We can't just cry. Like, it actually takes...
Back to the fucking beginning of the podcast. If you just treat us like human beings, that'd be great, honestly. Right? I'm not going to complain about that. Fuck, man, it's insane. Sorry, I went down a real spiral there with a student short film, but I mean, there are great ones out there as well, obviously, and I have worked on some absolutely fantastic ones, but fuck me, there's some bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I met half my production company.
Exactly.
Student short
and that's
films.
worked out super well for you.
So well, yeah.
Yeah, I've never made any friends on a student short film, only enemies, so... I am including Zave in that as well.
Oh, yes.
I'm joking, of course. They're all beautiful human beings. So many people I still stay in touch with now as well. Can I ask about some of the other stuff that you do as well?
Yeah, of course.
Now, you are, for better or worse, an improv comedian.
I am.
Yes. And I am not shitting on every improv comedian. I'm just shitting on 87% of them. Because you guys are weird. I'm joking. Obviously, we've had great improv comedians on here in the past. Friend of the show, Ben Russell, one of the best improvers in Melbourne. But like, I don't know what it is about the cult of improv, but it is fucking bizarre. Do you maybe want to give people a quick rundown for maybe that aren't quite as familiar with improv? Maybe they only know improv from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And they're like, no, but that's always a funny show.
It's a cult.
Yeah,
it is 100%.
Cult.
I don't know why. I always get involved in things that are culty. I even get cast in things that are culty. Like I've worked a lot in cult-related shows, and in my personal life,
you were part of the Moonies.
Yeah. Honestly, I remember thinking when I watched, there was like a Charles Manson documentary or show that came out a few years ago, and I remember watching it, and in the first half of it, when it was all lovely about like whatever their community was called, being like, if I was alive in the 70s, I 100% would have joined this cult.
I
like,
almost
no doubt.
feel like I can get roped into a cult every now and again as well. And I think like a lot of stuff in acting or entertainment world kind of is a cult, right?
Stunts is kind of a cult, man.
Cults is kind sorry, I was going to say stunts is kind of a cult. That could have gone very wrong with the way I was going to say that there.
Amazing.
Stunts are kind of a cunt. But yes, it is, isn't it, right? And it's all great. It's all good until they ask you to drink the fucking Kool-Aid. And then that's when you're like, wait a minute. This is a cult. Yeah. Fuck. Sorry, but yes, improv.
I remember
a cult, but not a cult.
My Kool-Aid moment as well. I think it was like, so... Yeah, I kind of was I used to do stand-up. So I started out in stand-up, and not much higher on the totem pole of performers, but slightly higher. To be honest, I would say lower. I would say lower. Really? I'd say improv performers over stand-up.
I would say it's mime at the bottom. No, maybe clowns are below that.
It depends which clowns, because
that's true. Sorry, I'm being silly.
Clown.
I'm being silly.
Stand-up comedian, improv comedian.
Actor, stunt performer on the pedestal. I'm joking. Of course, like there's some absolutely fantastic clowns. Even people we've had on the show before, Sam Dugmore, Gary Starr, Hugh Parham. Fucking amazing clowns. Amazing. It's the bad ones which give everyone else a bad rap. And I think it's the same with improv as well. Probably the same with stunts. Actually, it's the same with fucking acting as well,
Oh, yeah, and acting, for sure.
But yeah, like, I don't know, man. Sorry, you were saying that your cult moment here, you used to do stand-up.
I used to do stand-up, and I actually ended up, this was pre-COVID. I started doing it because I was like, I want to work in comedy.
Yep.
I want to work in like sitcom comedy.
Yeah,
I love it. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite mediums. So I was like, cool, I want to improve my comic timing. The best way to do that is stand-up comedy. And I had the full stand-up comedy experience.
No, actually, wait, what are we talking about
what
here?
What I mean when I say that is that I ended up dating a stand-up comedian. Now, he's from the US, so I'm not going to mention his name, but he's from the US, so I feel like I can talk shit about him because he's never going to hear this.
Okay. Arj Barker.
No, God, no, not that big. Like in his head, and the narcissism that he had made him think he was that big. but he was really not a good human being. And you kind of learn, like, there's a bit of a stereotype about certain stand-up comedians just not being good people in a few ways that are a bit ick. I basically had an experience like that. So I was kind of very, after that relationship ended, I was like, oh, that's going to require therapy. And
fuck, when you get out of a relationship, I know that instantly. And
yeah. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to do stand-up anymore. So I was a bit put off stand-up. I'm actually now kind of coming full circle and being like, actually, no, I kind of want to get back into that.
Done enough therapy now.
Done enough therapy, worked through my issues. You know, it's all part of it.
So any single stand-up comedians out there, Jess is back on the market.
Oh, no, thank you.
That was a joke. Please, and I keep saying this, no stand-ups DM anyone. Honestly.
Yeah, ever.
Again, these are all jokes. I love stand-ups. So many fucking guests of the show, friends of the show have been stand-ups or still are stand-ups.
And it's great. Like, it's honestly so much fun. Yep. It is so much fun, especially when you get your first laugh. Yeah. I remember the moment getting my first laugh and I was like hooked. It was like, oh, I could just feel it enter my bloodstream and my pupils widen. Like, it was so amazing.
How about your first bomb?
My first bomb? Oh, I mean, I had so many of them that they kind of just blur into one.
Yeah, that's what everyone says, right?
Kind of, but it's such low stakes. Like, I remember going into my first ever, like, I was like, I think I want to do stand-ups. I met a few and they were like, come on to an open mic.
Okay.
And I was really nervous. I was like, look, I'll just come and listen. I'm not going to get up.
Yeah.
And one of the friends that I had wrote my name down.
Oh.
And so I ended up getting up. However, I was right at the end. And it was like a Wednesday night. It was at this really chill bar. And the only people in the audience were other stand-up comedians practicing their stuff.
Oh, nice.
So it was actually a much nicer environment. And a lot of them really sucked. So it gave me the confidence when my name got called to be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going to get up and I'm going to do it. And that was my first ever stand-up set. I think I got a few chuckles. Nobody really laughed, which is fine. And my first few sets, I got maybe a few chuckles. And then I learned to kind of adapt my comedy to the audience because it was very much 20-something female comedy, and if there's a room full of like baby boomer males, they're not going to find the same things funny as I do.
Yeah, fair enough. You are too woke. That's what I keep saying.
Yeah, that's
PC is ruining comedy. Yep.
Yeah, and then I went to a different bar, which is where I got my first laugh because the audience was a bit more of a younger crowd, a bit more my age, probably a bit more, you know, had my sense of humor. That's where I got my first laugh, and I was like, awesome.
Well, that is absolutely lovely, but that is not what this podcast is about, Jess. No. I want to hear about the horrible times.
Stories, yeah.
So we have also kind of drifted away from improv here as well.
Yeah, we actually have. Yeah, and now, I do improv. I do have a show coming up in a little indie team. I can talk about it later if I don't want to spook it now. We're called Signature Blend, and it's all coffee related. I did used to be a barista.
Is it all coffee? Sorry, all coffee related improv?
Ish. So it's improv, so you never know, but like that's kind of our theme and our
Do you guys, I know it's like the cliche thing, but you're like, do you get like audience recommendations for what to do?
Yes.
Has that ever gone poorly? Oh, it does? Oh, I'm coming to
oh my God, please come.
Show.
Yes and no. Usually you have several. If you ask for like a word or something, usually several people yell out something at a time.
Oh, so you just pick, you're like,
did
somebody say the doctors?
Sometimes you get people yelling out really controversial things and you just won't pick that. Usually somebody else will yell out something and you'll be like, oh, yes, I think I heard dogs over there, not, Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
So you kind of can control it in that way. Yeah. And even if you do get something that's kind of more controversial, you don't need to do that.
Yes.
You can kind of control it a little bit as a performer.
That's good because I don't know if I'd like to see improv about Al-Qaeda.
No,
it's a rough subject. I think I'm pretty brave in saying that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any specific stories about improv. Can I tell you a story about an improv thing that I went to go and see once, and then we can maybe finish if you've got any stories as well.
Absolutely.
Now the one that I saw wasn't comedy improv; it was dramatic improv.
Right.
And I think I might have told this story in the podcast before, so my apologies for anybody that's already heard it. But the show I went to go and see was in a beautiful, beautiful venue, but a very small space in the venue. I would say maybe 20-seater at most. 5 people in the audience, which is the same number of people that are in the cast. So, not a great ratio so far. And And sorry, I might have counted the director as the audience. So maybe 4 people in the audience, actually. 4 or 5 people anyway. 1 hour long dramatic improv podcast. One hour dramatic improv show. And it was set on a spaceship. And God bless them, these people didn't know how to improv. And I think it was maybe like a beginner's class or something like that. And they were just putting on a show. I got invited along by my friend. And it was, and I do not mean this to sound rude or mean-spirited, but I think it might. One of the most entertaining shows I've ever seen for all the wrong reasons. You could see people forgetting what their character things were. You could see people forgetting like specific names that they mentioned earlier of like their daughter or something like that. So many, what do you call it in improv when you like throw out a suggestion? Is it just like a suggestion?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so many people throwing out offers of just nobody picking it up. And the end of it just essentially ended in all of them killing themselves.
Oh, that sounds great.
I know, right? That's a problem.
To be fair, did you know you were going to like a beginner night or something?
No idea. I had no idea. I went with my friends.
Beginner night or something. It wasn't like a.
I didn't pay for a ticket. My friend paid for a ticket, and it was a regular price ticket.
Okay, interesting.
And it was in a venue which is quite well known for independent stuff.
Okay.
But I didn't know anything about it. So maybe they build it as something.
I think sometimes it can be funny when they forget the character names, but they
I kind of
know
loved
it,
man.
And again, and own it though. But that's very specific.
But again, that leads into comedy, right?
Yeah,
this was dramatic.
But
this
it was more
full dramatic.
Oh yeah, you did say it was dramatic. Okay, yeah.
So none of this was intentional.
I
comedy.
love things that are so bad that they're good.
Me too.
Oh my god.
They tried to do a stage slap at one point, but it's improv. So like they went to slap, and the other person's like, oh. And they're like, oh no. And then they almost did like a countdown 3, 2, 1, and then went to slap, but it did not sell for the angle for the audience. None of it was right. Nobody was acting off impulses. I think everybody was
like stunty actor.
Bro, it was before I'd graded as a stunt performer. This was a little
while ago. Okay.
But if I could rewatch any show in my lifetime, that would be in like the top 3, I reckon, because that was
I want to watch
something else. I know, right? But I'm sorry, I detracted from your improv stories. I just had to share that.
It reminded me of a terrible improv show that I saw.
Beautiful.
However,
was it yours, or are you just
no? It wasn't mine.
I
was an audience member.
We'll allow it.
It featured quite a well-known, successful professional comedian who was terrible.
Like just terrible at improv, or just like
terrible at improv, like really, really bad. And it was obviously a paid ticket.
Yep.
They were coming on as a guest, like a special guest for this show, and it featured 4 people who were improv comedians, successful comedians in their own right.
Yep.
But they had obviously done some sort of comedy before.
Yeah.
Comedy before, and then they brought in this other comedian who was very, very successful, who they work with on a television show that, again, I won't mention.
Please don't. Yes, thank you.
And this comedian was so bad. They weren't listening to any of the other people on stage.
Brutal.
They were trying to just get cheap shots and make it funny. And there's nothing, and anyone who has done improv listening to this will know, or just in general, when you try to be funny, you're not funny.
Oh, it's so like you try to be funny, it's awful. You're trying to be like sexy, you're never sexy. Like you're trying to be like demure. Like whatever you're trying to be so hard is the opposite of what you are.
Yeah. And improv as well is about working together. It's about listening.
Yeah.
It's really, a lot of it is just listening and reacting, very much like acting.
Yeah.
Listening and responding. He was not listening. He forgot certain situations, was not working with the other. It was so bad. I remember sitting there for like 45 minutes.
That's
just
brutal.
Completely gobsmacked that this very funny, very successful, very amazing comedian who I like have seen on television and was just really shit at improv.
And
just
fucked.
Really not. And you could tell the other comedians who, again, successful comedians in their own right, were getting really, really shitty with them.
Wow, really?
They were obviously trying to hide it, but they were like very, very frustrated because they couldn't get the story across. They couldn't achieve their like goal as a team because he was this person was just making it all about themselves. And it was so bad. It was a great lesson to learn as an improviser what happens when you do that, though, because it was just a terrible, terrible performance.
Oh, I mean, I feel bad for that comedian. Presumably they're just like, yeah, it's comedy, right? Like improv's just comedy.
I think so. Either that or they just didn't care. They were like, oh, I'm doing this guest spot that I've
been paid before I started.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was just they had never done improv before.
Did they, the comedian they brought on, did he notice it wasn't going well?
I don't think so. I think he was just thinking about himself and trying to be funny.
Yeah, just trying to get that next material out.
Which is like what you do in level 1 improv. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you like don't really know what you're doing and you're trying really hard to be funny because, you know, again, everyone wants to be liked. Everyone wants to be funny.
Yeah, of course. Like, you always want to be the star of the show.
Why are we in this industry? We're obviously the same. You want that external validation.
Again, I kind of would have loved to have seen that. Was it one of those style shows that's so bad it's maybe entered?
Honestly, if I had known that I was going in for that, I think I would have been like, hell yeah. But at the time, I was honestly just shocked.
At the time, it's like car crash TV, right? You're just like, what the fuck? But then afterwards, you tell it years later on a podcast and you're like, I think I fucking loved that.
I wish I could remember more of it and watch it again because it was like, and I was there with a few members of Weird Neighbor as well. And afterwards, we all kind of looked at each other and were like, this is cooked.
It's almost like you come out afterwards and you're like, we've got like collective shared trauma. Like, this has made our friendship stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we actually decided to create the production company after that.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't. That was a joke. Yeah.
Well, maybe.
See, when you try to be funny, you're not funny. It's
keep going back to more than level 3 or whatever you're at improv now.
Level 5, excuse me, sir.
How many levels? This is a cult.
I think there's 6 levels.
So how many levels are there? How much money do you have to pay to go up a level? And how many secrets do you have to give to them? This is Scientology, right?
Yeah. You also need to give them some of your blood.
That's nice.
You can see the scar right here on my wrist. That was like the initiation.
That's what that's from.
Yeah.
If they want any of my blood, they're more than welcome to it. I bleed all the time with work, so will that make me funnier?
That's just really terrifying.
Okay, well, this is a perfect time to end the podcast.
Why do you bleed for work?
I was for stunts.
Okay. I don't think you're meant to bleed.
You wouldn't understand. You're not graded.
I'm not
yet.
graded. I'm a trainee. I know.
No, little baby. You are very small, but no longer a baby. I will say that in the podcast. I think this is the perfect time to bring the podcast to an end, though. I was thinking about giving you time to spruik all your stuff, but I don't know about that now. I'll be honest with you.
No,
jokes. I'm sorry. Yep, you've got something coming up. Again, time of release tomorrow night and Sunday as well. So would you like to start with that?
Absolutely. So my production company and we're called Weird Neighbor.
Yes, featuring the wonderful Jack Brady from last week's episode as well.
Yes, and we love Jack. He is fucking brilliant.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this podcast. I apologize.
I have sworn so much. I am allowed to swear.
Cunt before. So
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
But I will not have my guests swearing. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So Weird Neighbor, follow us on socials if you feel so inclined. If you want to see some really unhinged, cooked humor.
Comedy,
Yeah, comedy. It's just dark comedy.
Yep.
A lot of dark comedy. We're a bunch of like unhinged humans. There's 5 of us. We're all a bit weird. We have very dark senses of humor, and we came together to create stuff. We have a film in St.Kilda Film Festival, which is really exciting.
You can smoke anything.
You can smoke anything.
And that's playing the 16th and the 17th, is it?
15th and 16th, I believe. But
sorry.
It'd be funny if I was the one that was wrong. I know.
Yes, I was going for laughs there. Yes, sorry.
Yes.
The 15th and the 16th.
Funny, yes.
At the beautiful Alex Theatre as well, man. That's fucking sick. These the ticket links to the tickets are in the show notes as well. Not to dox ourselves, but we will be there for one of the screenings. So
come say hi.
Come and say hi. I mean, don't, but take a photo from us across the room and then post it to us. That'd be great.
Or just come say hi like a normal person. But
I don't know.
Say hi to me. Just take creepy photos of Seb and then send them to him.
Nah, take creepy photos of Jess. Save them for like 2 months and then send it to Jess.
That's so terrifying. I'll probably cry.
Again, everything I've said in this episode as well about DMing Jess is a joke. Please do not DM Jess weird things, okay? Save that for the male guests only. No, I'm joking. Don't DM any of my guests weird stuff, please. But yes, that the links to the tickets will be in the show notes as well. You said you had a Lafacino show coming up as well.
Lafacino. I hope I never hear that sentence again. Yes, I do.
You can use
it's
it.
on the. I think it's on the 1st. I need to double check that. Of August, maybe.
The links will be in the show notes.
I will add a link. I actually don't know. It is an improv show. I potentially might have something for Fringe if I'm organised enough, but I honestly, I shouldn't have mentioned it. It's so early days and I have no idea what's going on with it. So
okay, great.
I'm a very organised person, as you can see.
You're very organised, yes.
So organised, I know. How do I produce things?
If people wanted to stay up to date with potential shows that may or may not be coming up as well, where can people find you?
Find me on Instagram. I do also have a TikTok that I very rarely curate or go on. But follow me on Insta. Say hi.
Under anything in particular, is it?
What was that?
What's your name on Instagram? What's your handle?
Sorry. Oh my God. It's at Jess.Ciancio, Ciancio.
I believe it's called Ciancio or Ciabatta.
Ciabatta. Can I explain the Ciabatta thing quickly?
If you want to give the Dogboi Ciabatta explanation now during the show notes section, you're welcome to. I'm going to time it. You have 10 seconds.
Okay, so Dogboi is a very specific scene from an Auntie Donna sketch.
Jess just looks like a dog. That is all in the next part. No, I'm joking.
I had a group of friends who didn't know how to pronounce my last name for about 3 years. So behind my back, they all called me Jess Ciabatta.
Yep. Which me saying it now does sound like either collectively being racist and or bullying you, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, that's actually quite racist, but I embrace that. You know,
I'm European as well. I can be rude to Europeans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
sure.
Edit that part
anyway. I'm rude to you about, I don't know, haggis. So I'll just start calling you
fucking dare
haggis.
you for a start? That's racist.
You can call me Ciabatta.
Anyway, so yes, please follow Jess.Ciancio on Instagram and cancel her. And then Weird Neighbor as well across the social media platforms.
Yes, please do give us a like, give us a follow. If you like our stuff, do it. If you don't.
Still give it a like. It's not going to take anything out of you. A like's for free, man. Speaking of likes for free, you can like and subscribe to this podcast. Please tell a friend. Rate it 5 stars, right wherever the fuck you want in the reviews. Honestly, they don't matter as much as the engagement does, but as long as it's 5 stars, baby, I'm happy. You can follow me, Seb Muirhead, across most of the social media platforms, as well as won't be forgetting that pod. I also have another podcast I'm doing with a wonderful mutual friend of ours as well, Chan Griffin, an incredibly talented stunt performer and fight choreographer, called Fight Creative Podcast, and that'll be delving into stunt and action actors, action design, action fighting for cinema as well, so give that a little listen. Jess, I've got a film coming out in cinema later this year as well, Ancestry Road.
Yes.
The trailer is out just now. It'll be in the show notes. I play a Scottish man, which is, I know, a shock.
Mind-blowing.
I know. But yeah, give that a little look. I don't know, engage with that, all that fucking shit that people say.
Yeah. Where is it actually playing? I am so excited to see it.
So I don't have specific dates yet, which I feel weird for spooking things as well, to be honest with you. But yeah, there you go. I'm also going to be in Adelaide in July. So if you've got kids and want to come along to the Glenelg Festival as well, I'm going to be playing a dinosaur, explorer, time traveler person. More of that will be in the show notes as well.
You are a man of many talents.
Well, none of them get me works. Maybe I should change fucking careers. Sorry, that was a really dark way to end this podcast.
Yeah.
But yes.
Don't be in the arts, it'll suck your soul dry.
And bank account. But yes, thank you so much Thank you so much again.
Dogboi
Ciabatta.
Thank you so much for having me, Sam.